The long wait is over. It is, in fact, draft day, and we are here in Las Vegas. I'm Eric Casilius, Ryan Wilson, our draft expert, Rick Spielman, our GM, with the Vikings making the picks the last 10 years, our 30-year insider, Pete Prisco. All right, let's see. We've already gone through the top 10. Now let's go 11 through 20. Pete Prisco has made some interesting proclamations in 11 through 20, and Rick Spielman, you will tell me how you feel about said proclamations. Let's first start about Kyle Hamilton, safety, Notre Dame, a lot of ability. I saw him in a lot of mocks where he was in the top 10, and then other people think, hey, safety, that's a little bit of a reach to go into that top 10. You have him at 13 to Houston. That's where Pete Prisco has him. You say what to 13 Kyle Hamilton, Houston?
I praise Pete. Great pick.
I like that. We got to get him more often.
No, this guy is a phenomenal football player with his unique size, his unique length. I think what people started criticizing him with is because of the 40 time at the combine. And I looked at a clip which showed him running directly down the chute, and you see him weave outside. That had to add a couple tenths or a couple hundredths to his time. But when you watch him on tape, I watched him play live versus Florida State. He's an excellent football player. He plays a lot faster than he does. He made an interception coming from the opposite hash, got both feet in bounds, and made a great interception. So this guy has a lot of playmaking ability. I think it gives the defensive coordinators, the secondary coaches, a lot of flexibility to play him in the box, to play him back. Can he play man coverage on a tight end and do a lot of unique things with him?
Can I ask you about that, though? Because it's funny that you keep talking up the pick. And Pete is not high on Kyle Hamilton,
no, I'm not.
if he's honest with you about it. And he always says, quit bringing up the Florida State game. But that game was a clear indication of what he can do. But what about the worth of the position at safety, and what about the concerns that while he doesn't do what Isaiah Simmons did coming out of Clemson, if you don't put him in the right spot at the next level, he may not be an immediate impact player?
But that's what they're doing in these draft meetings right now. These defensive coaches are saying, if you get me this kid, this is how we're going to utilize him in our scheme, and this is why he's going to be a good player. So when you're in those draft rooms and the scouts are talking and we put a grade on him, for the league. But then when the coaches come into the conversation, we get a little bit more specific on how is this player going to fit for us. And if a coach is standing up on the table saying, I can take this kid with his size, with his ability to play football, this is how I'm going to use him in a scheme, and he's going to be a heck of a football player for us.
I don't dislike him. I just don't think he's whatever, because the value of the position for one, and I do think he's going to have problems matching up at times in coverage. He's not twitchy, and I like twitchy safeties. But in this system, Lovie Smith will make him as John Lynch. That's what he'll do. He'll make him as John Lynch, and he'd be perfect in that role.
If I'm not mistaken, John Lynch is in the Hall of Fame right now.
Yeah, but he's box safety, different era. I know, I got it.
I get what you're saying. Listen, a lot of this comes down to fit, right? You could have the same guy get drafted by two different teams with the 13th overall pick and have very different careers based upon how they use them and what they need there. All right, next up, taking a look at it, how about the Eagles? They have 2 first-round picks, right? They're going to go at 15 and they're going to go at 18. And George Karlaftis, Purdue, how do we feel about this pick? 18, the second of 2 to the Eagles. I see the smile. Pete has him going there. You say what, Rick Spielman?
I think that's another great pick, Pete. You are just on your game today in this latest mock through this round. When I watched him, I had an opportunity to go see him play live at Wrigley Field when they played Northwestern, and I watched a lot of tape on him. And who he reminded me of was a lot of Brandon Graham, because he's a powerful guy, a little shorter in stature, but he knows how to rush a passer. He can play the run. He plays with great leverage, and he reminded me a lot of when Graham came out of Michigan, and he had a lot of success with the Philadelphia Eagles.
You know, Rick, it's funny because in draft Twitter and draft analysts, they have Karlaftis way down, whereas you talk to the NFL people like yourself, and they have him way up. This is a good football player who plays hard all the time, and he's better as a pass rusher than people give him credit for.
Actually, I've talked to teams that don't have him rated as a top 15 guy, but maybe closer to the bottom of the first round. I want to ask you 2 questions about that, Rick. So, are you at all concerned about the twitchiness, which Pete likes, he says, in his safeties?
By the way, when we say twitchiness, for people who are not doing this all year round, what does that mean, twitchiness?
Explosiveness to me. Quickness off the snap if you're playing on the edge.
Can you turn? Yeah, his hips.
Yeah, it's first step quickness. It's ability to drop your weight and change direction immediately instead of taking 2 or 3 steps before you redirect in space. And the biggest thing, especially with a pass rusher is how quick is his first step and how quick can he gain an edge, which what I mean is how quick can he get on an inside or outside shoulder of an offensive tackle, especially if you're an edge rusher. And the other thing, why I liked him so much, why I think he's such a good football player, is because he plays with a lot of energy, he plays with a lot of effort, and his natural leverage gets underneath the pads of a lot of those bigger players that they're trying to block him.
One more thing quickly. Jameson Williams, Pete, I love Jameson Williams, the player. If you're the general manager, are you taking a guy with an ACL injury in January at 15 if you love him as a player?
I don't think teams are as concerned about ACLs because I think this kid will be back hopefully by midseason, whoever takes him. And when I looked at all these receivers in the draft, I think this kid is the most explosive playmaker with the ball in his hand after the catch. And just watch the Georgia game. And he caught a little slant route across the middle, and there was no one, and Georgia has an NFL caliber defense, no one came close to catching him.
All right, so twitchy's a compliment, right?
Yeah.
Say your significant other, twitchy, they get no. It means you have a good first step. Explosive around the corner.
And she can work the edges.
That's exactly it. You know what's up. So twitchy can be a compliment. All right. Now let's go 21 to 25. Versatile is also a compliment. The Patriots love the Swiss Army knife and versatile guys. There's a linebacker, Devin Lloyd, out of Utah. That's where he has it. I looked and said, I see some versatility there. This feels like a Belichick type of guy and a Belichick type of pick. What do you think of Pete Prisco's mock draft, where at 21, he had the linebacker from Utah going to New England?
I love Devin Lloyd. I loved him when he watched on tape, and I know he's going to get knocked a little bit for his pass coverage. He maybe didn't run a 4.5, but he ran into 4.6s, which is fast enough. When I watched him, he reminded me, because I thought he was one of the best pass rushing linebackers coming from the second level, which means he's not on the line of scrimmage, but he's actually coming, shows great timing, burst to the quarterback, and he reminded me a lot of what Coach Zimmer did with Anthony Barr. And you can create mismatches if they're sliding the protection away from him. There's not a lot of running backs that can take him one-on-one and keep him off the quarterback.
Yeah, and I think when you look at New England, their linebacker depth has really, fallen off, and Hightower's not there anymore. So what do? They have to get a guy who can come in there and do the things like you talked about. Can blitz, can attack, can even put his hand on the ground at times, which he's done at times at Utah. So I really like this kid. The speed is a little bit of a concern, and you mentioned his pass coverage, but I think Belichick will be able to cover that up.
He plays much faster than he timed, though, for sure. He's my linebacker one. But what I want to ask you is how's the evolution of that off-ball position been for you over the last 10 years? Because this isn't Dante Hightower. This is like the next evolution of Dante Hightower, and he feels like he'd be a nice chess piece to pair up with a Kyle Duggar, who they took a few years ago, who's that similar sort of athlete but plays a different position.
And that's what I talked about earlier. When you get athletes like this and you find out what their strengths and weaknesses are, what you're identifying in your draft meeting is, how can we use his strength to help us win ball games? And I think Belichick, who's Hall of Fame and maybe one of the best coaches to ever coach the game, does a great job identifying strengths of players and then utilizing them to make them successful.
It feels like sometimes certain organizations do a good job at certain positions. Maybe it's just their eyes see it that way, right? When Dallas has gone offensive line, interior offensive line early, they've had success. Travis Frederick, right? People say, I remember that pick got killed. C minus all. Turned out to be a good pick. Zach Martin, clearly a great pick for them. In Pete's mock draft, he has Dallas going back to the interior line and going to Boston College and Zion Johnson being the selection. I asked you when I saw you this morning, who's the guy that you think, if we had the first pick, who would we take? Like I would have any say, by the way. And you kind of kiddingly said, Zion Johnson, love the kid. You must love this pick for Dallas in this spot. Tell me about Zion Johnson.
This is, Pete, my favorite pick that you had in the 21st.
He's got to be in the seat
You
all the
think
time.
this is an accident? We're buttering you up. Soon we are
They
going
told
to tear
me
you down.
When Danny gets on here, he'll tear me
they
down.
told me in my first show never to disagree with you because you won't talk to me the rest of the show. So this is a great pick. He played left guard. He had played left tackle in the past. I got an opportunity to see him play live against Virginia Tech, and because they had injuries, he actually played left tackle, and he played against a kid called Barno from Virginia Tech, who's a raw developing pass rusher guy, but that guy is 6'5". He has 34-inch arms. He ran a 4.39, and Zion held his own that own game. Now, he's not a left tackle in this league, but when you watched him, when they moved him to his natural position, to what I think is guard, I think he has a chance to be a Pro Bowl type player.
Yeah, and they got issues at left guard, and they also have issues at center. And this is a guy that a lot of people in the league think he's going to end up being an all-pro center. And you look at Dallas, you mentioned Frederick. He was a good player, but then it fell off, when he was gone. So they need to get better in the middle. And if you can't get pushed in that middle of that line with that run game, Elliott's been a problem. He's struggled. He's a disappointment, in large part because the offensive line hasn't been as good.
My only point was when they've gone first round in interior line, which, again, we talk about position safety. Is that real? Is that a value position? A lot of people feel like I don't want to take a center or a guard that high. And we've seen some guys, Jonathan Cooper, we've seen guys miss as, when you've taken them very high in the interior. Dallas has done a good job with their first round picks with their interior guys, and you have them going back to that well again.
And I think the last 2 Super Bowls, I think we've all got a lesson in what happens when you don't have an offensive line that can hold up. You saw the Chiefs struggle, and then last year you saw the Bengals struggle. Draft the big guys up front, protect your quarterback.
I think the issue I love Zion Johnson as well, no doubt about it. Davidson transfer, academic All-American, incredibly smart. The Cardinals might be in the Zion Johnson business at 23, so that's a concern there. But I want to ask you this, Rick. So with the Senior Bowl, where, and Pete's talked about this before, Zion Johnson took some snaps at center, and teams were impressed with that. But also in the one-on-one drills, which are geared towards the defensive ends having success, he was incredibly effective in those one-on-one drills where there is no one standing next to you at guard or tackle to help you. And do you take anything away from that as an evaluator when you see that in a drill that feels like it's slanted towards the edge rushers?
Yeah, and just watching some of the Senior Bowl stuff, just his length as a guard and to lock out and how heavy his hands are. And what I mean, once he punches and stones you, those guys aren't moving. And he has the ability to drop his weight and anchor versus power rushes, but also enough twitch to adjust his feet and to any type of finesse type moves. He's able to regain position and stay in front of the defender.
If I knew you better, I would start calling you Twitchy Spielman, but I'm not comfortable.
That's great.
I just haven't earned that quite yet. That's what I'm saying. All right. So look, this is now a league where you're telling me you got to get to the quarterback. I'd rather get to the quarterback than have guys who can cover wide receivers and if forced to choose. But what about the actual quarterback? Is there anybody in this draft that is going to be a difference maker at that position, or is this going to be a selection that will end up haunting a team? The quarterbacks will go on the clock straight ahead, and I'm going to bring in our quarterback who won a division title in the biggest city in the United States. What does he have to say about that? He's going to rip Pete next. Yeah, HQ.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.